And it's day one and you walking in there on the first day, man, you in there, man. But you feel something. It's right in here, man. And it's screaming and it's yelling and it's saying, release me. And it's saying, I am the number one determinant of the success or failure of my students. Hey, y'all, when you get back, kick some butt, and I'll see you in the winner's circle celebrating your victory. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! You got this! You got this! You got this! Thank everybody.
And we are live. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to week 187 of the AP and New Principals Academy. Let me see who we got joining us from the family this morning. We got Mona in the building. Mona Abelmolek. We got where's Mona from these days? From Orlando. There we go. AP Patrick Lawrence in the building. Katrina Washington up there in Chicago. We got Grace Castaneda in the building. Dr. Rachel Edo Eckett out there in Maryland. I was in her company this past week. We got Akima Dawson, Takesha High, Beverly Warren, Tara Woodard, Marsha Poe out there in San Diego. I got to reach out to you, Marsha, because we got to get you on here. So I'm going to be reaching out to you soon. Tashika Truesdale, Donna Medina Sherragant's in the building. Principal Dot McKeever Jeter's in the building. Yolanda McKinney, Michael Benton, Coach Central, John Herrick's Golf RWT, Rodney Richardson Jr. down there in Hampton. Principal Sean Hurd, he was bringing the fire this morning. If you missed it, check it out later on after the broadcast. At 10 o'clock, he comes on every Saturday morning, followed by Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor. So make sure you check them out. We got Jacqueline Harriet up there in Nova Scotia. Should be on with me in 2024. Looking forward. September, Devon Vance Daniels in the building. Dr. Roz Gaskins. If you missed my interview with her, and a couple other APs, check her out. Check us out. I don't know which number it is. Just scroll. You'll see her. Principal Dr. Tammy Taylor in the building. Lynette Wilson is in the building. Melissa Jones Chunu, man, she brought the thunder last week. We had a AP session. That thing got a lot of views, man. I think it's getting ready to hit like 2,000 on YouTube. It already hit 2,000 on Facebook. It's 2,000 on Twitter. I mean, a lot of people watched that one. Great interview. Glad to see you, Melissa, and thank you. Lily Lanier is in the building. Edwin Garcia is in the building. That's that Jersey fam here. KM Weaver, Lou Saunders, more Jersey in the building. Vanessa Zeskin, Lysandra Brackens, Sean Dow Woodley is in the building. I'll reach out to you soon, sir. Sean's got a new book. If you didn't see the post on my Facebook page or Instagram, go back and check it out. It's got this new book out. Where's it at? It's on the table somewhere, man. I wish I could put it on the screen. I got you next week, Sean, with that. Because I don't have it in front of me. Ronald Pugh, there's the Queen. Kimberly Broughton Kafele, the Queen is in the building. We got Demetrius Scott, my brother. Stacy Joy is in the building. Stacy L. Joy. We can't forget that L. Dr. Sheikah Houston's in the building. Let me see what she said. Charleston today, International African American Heritage Museum. Oh, man, I need to be there myself. My family says I turn everything into a cultural event. Can't help it. It's the educator in me. Yeah. I'm going to get down there too soon, Sheikah. I got to get in there and just spend probably the day. What we got? Sandra Gilliam in the building. Appreciate that, Sean. Yeah, man. It's cold again, so let me rock the hat, right? I see Dr. Tracy Oliver in the building. If you missed the interview with her, check it out, y'all. I don't know what number it is. It's about 2 months ago, maybe. Tequila Simmons is in the building up there in Milwaukee. Dr. Xvera. Hope I didn't mess that up too much, Doc. M. Davis is in the building. Ed Riley is in the building, man. That's Jersey homie, man. Ed Riley, All Politics Are Local, every Friday on Facebook, live at 6 o'clock. Here we are. Where we at? I'm getting ready to close it out, y'all. I'm getting ready to close it out. Valerie Macy, I see you. Darnell McElveen, Hotep to you. I see you. Daniel Quadwo Osei, I see you. Lavelle Johnson, Ty Smith, Kelly Dougherty Blunt, I see you. I'm getting ready to get it rocking, though, y'all. Let me get it started. Let me just see any homies I need to shout out, man. I see you, Monty Abner. I see you, Jasmine Harris. I see you. All right, y'all. I gotta go. So let me say formally, I see you, Kimberly Wilson Daniel. If you missed my interview with her, and I'm gonna close it out with Kimberly Wilson Daniel, check out that interview, man. It was about 2 weeks ago. But other than that, let me say to everybody now formally, good morning. Greetings. Welcome to week 187 of the AP and New Principles Academy. I got a question to ask you. You know the question because I ask it every Saturday morning. Let me tone it down and ask you how you feel. Right? How you feel. Right? And again, the responses, they're varied. I'm feeling good. But I'm not always feeling good. You know, sometimes I'm feeling a little. Yesterday, my son said to me, he said, "Dad, you all right? You seem a little different today, a little tired." You know, sometimes you just got to bring it down, man, and you be like to yourself quiet. So I brought it like way down yesterday, and I was sitting where I normally don't sit, which would be right here, as opposed to on my favorite couch. I was sitting here, and I was just kind of like, you know what I'm saying, right? So, but the key point, y'all, however you feeling, if it's not where you want it to be, you got to go here. And you probably got to go to your God. And you got to figure that out. How do I get myself back to where I need to be? Right? How do I get myself back there? So just to get us started, just to kick us off, and I know it's always new people on the platform that never been here before. So your host, I want to introduce myself to you by letting you know how I feel. And the way I feel, I'm on fire! Woo! If you didn't know, you know now. That's how I feel, right? And why shouldn't I feel that way? Man, God been blessing me, man. Just this platform is a blessing. Did all of us come together on Saturday or watch the video during the week? And that's when most of the people see it, to be quite frank with you. They watch all day Saturday, all day Sunday, Monday, this huge uptick on the drive to work, right? And then throughout the week. But I love, it's something about them faithful Saturday folks, man, that keep me blazing, right? So I'm glad you're here. You know, folks, let me get to my rundown because I got some guests. I got my guy stop by for a cameo. So let me do this real quick. To the first, I want to shout out Howard County in Maryland. That's where Rachel Edowek is from. I see her right there. Man, I was there I spoke there from like 8 to 4, 8:30 to 4, something like that the other day. I don't even remember what day of the week it was, man. It was just, and then I had this rental, and the rental conked out. I got, the only reason I got to the airport and didn't conk out on the highway is because I was in deep and heavy prayer. That thing cut off. I had to figure out how to get it to come back on. You press the accelerator and it ain't going. I'm like, man, am I going to get stuck on a highway in Washington, D.C. and all these people going to be cussing me out because they trying to get home during rush hour, right? So somehow, man, I was in prayer. God, just get me through, man. Get me through. Get me to this airport. I want to go home. And I got there, right? by the grace of God. But I'm saying that to say, shout out to, again, the folks in Howard County, man. We just had a great day, man. 3 different audiences and just had a great day to them. So those of you from Howard County who are on here right now, shout out to you. Had a great day with you. Welcome to the first timers. Don't let this be your last time. Let it be your first time. But you got 186 sessions to catch up on, right? Because we did this 186 times now. We're in year 4, right? So just go to the AP and New Principals Academy YouTube channel and binge watch the 186 sessions. I promise you, and I'm not saying this because I'm being egotistical. I'm saying it because I'm telling you what I know. I promise you, if you are an aspiring leader, an assistant principal, a new principal, a veteran principal, I promise you, them at 186 sessions, they will make you better than you ever thought you could be. But you got to watch them. I promise you that, right? I put everything I got on that. You watch those faithfully, they will make you better than you ever imagined you would be as a school leader. You just got to watch them. And see, it's not patting myself on the back because I'm not in most of them. I'm just asking questions to my guests. I'm in about maybe 70 of them, but the rest of them, I mean, I'm in all of them, but solo. I only went solo like 70, 80 times. The rest of them, that's guest. You just got to go to the channel and make sure you hit the subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. I'll say it one more time. Hit the subscribe button. We got 19,700 subscribers. I want 20, right? So hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like and follow the AP and New Principals Academy Facebook page while you're at it. We have 9,800 followers. I want to get it to 10,000. So just like and follow the AP and New Principals Academy Facebook page. That's important. Where we at? Hey, y'all, I don't know if you saw the post I put this morning, but Black Friday was good to me yesterday, man. 4 of my books in that top 100 on Amazon under administration. The Principal 50, the Assistant Principal 50, the Aspiring Principal 50, and Is My School a Better School Because I Lead It? So thank you to whomever for blessing me with being in that top, because the Assistant Principal 50 stays in that top 100. The other books are like in and out. But that Assistant Principal 50, since I wrote it back in 2020, it just stays in that top 100 administration. But it's always a blessing when you see other books that you wrote make it to that top 100. So real quick, y'all, I wasn't going to do this because I wasn't going to waste time. But the Principal 50 goes with this academy. Get yourself a copy. You get your Black Friday copy on this Saturday, right? The Aspiring Principal 50, the Assistant Principal 50, and Is My School a Better School Because I Lead It? Those are the ones. But then I gotta see my new joint ain't in that top 50, that top 100 right now, man. So I don't know what's going on. But the Assistant Principal Identity, that's my newest one. You got to get that too, man. So make sure you get these books, and then I'm not going to show you all my other books, man. We ain't got time for that. I got 3 guests, and I got a cameo with my brother, Dr. Don Parker. So am I finished? Oh, let me do this monologue real quick. I know I'm rambling, y'all, but let me do this monologue. My monologue is simply, the title of it is Thank You. Right? Hit that share button, hit that retweet button, hit that repost button, hit that like button. Even if you hate me, hit that like button anyway, right? So hit that like button so we can get them algorithms going, right? Hit that like button. But let me give this monologue real quick. It's just called Thank You, right? We in the season of Thanksgiving. I don't care how you approach Thanksgiving. I'm just using the word in isolation. Thank you, right? And I'm saying this. I'm just thankful, and I want to keep it confined to this platform. I'm thankful for y'all, the family, right? Sean Hurt did the same thing, and I said, man, Sean, me and you thinking just alike this morning. I thank y'all for trusting this platform. I thank y'all for trusting me with this thing I created, called first the Virtual AP Leadership Academy, and then ultimately the AP and New Principals Academy. I thank you. I thank you for seeing it not robbery to check out the lives or to watch the video. I thank you for supporting. But here's the big thank you, and then I'm going to move on. The big thank you is not just supporting and watching, but being on here to gain information to take back to your school, to your leadership, and take your leadership to another level which impacts your staff, your students, the parents of your students, and the broader community. I'm thankful for that, because in my mind, the translation is this thing I do on Saturday, which takes me a week to prepare for. This ain't like I wake up on Saturday, jump on the computer and let it go. I'm preparing starting Sunday. And every day I'm tweaking and adding questions, researching my guests, so this Saturday my stuff could be right. See, that's work now, but that's not the client work. The client work, they're going to hand me a check at the end of the day. Or Don Parker knows, at the end of the month, right? Or as Dr. Don Parker knows, maybe I'll get it in 5 months, right? I think you probably know a little something about that. Hey, y'all still going to pay me, right? I mean, I was there in August. It's November now, right? So that's part of what we deal with as well. So I don't get paid for this. So I'm just thankful that I got this platform that can impact children and educators that I may never meet in my life. That's enough for me to be thankful. Folks, I got my guest, and my guests are Sherell Benders, Dr. Naima Smith, and AJ Bianco. But I invited my man, Dr. Don Parker, who has been on here before, and he spent an hour with me one-on-one. But he wrote this book, his second book, and I endorsed it. And I wanted him to come on here and talk a little bit about it for about 5 minutes. And then we're going to get on with my guests who are on here today. So let me bring the good brother up here. And we got Dr. Parker in the building. Good to see you. Let me change this screen here and make it look like a little something else. There we go. Hey, Doc, good to see you.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving weekend to everybody. How you doing, Principal Kafele?
I'm on fire. I'm blazing, man. I'm glad to see you. You blessed us all in the education world with this book, Be the Driving Force. And I can't see my screen. Leading Your School on the Road to Equity. And I wanted you to come on here and tell us a little bit about this book and why we need it in our libraries.
All right. I appreciate you, Principal Kafele. Thanks for having me, man. It's just amazing what you're doing in the field, teaching teachers, leading leaders. And I appreciate you because that, I view you as a mentor, teacher, guru, whatever enduring term that a lot of other people, use for you, man. I see you in that same light, and I appreciate you.
Appreciate you back.
All right. So, Be the Driving Force, Leading Your School on the Road to Equity. I wrote this book, and it's a playbook for educators who are working fearlessly in order to promote equity and advance equity in their schools. So throughout the book, I use an analogy with something that has to do with leadership that deals with the car. So in other words, you know how you use a key in order to start the car. So in my first chapter, I just talk about how the key is, you have to believe that you are the key to your school's success. Kind of like what you say when you tell your audience that the success or the failure, it depends on you as a leader. And so in the first chapter, I talk about how belief is the key, how each leader has to have that self-confidence in order to believe that they are the one to drive equity in their school. And so I end the chapter by saying, no longer do we use those keys that you put into the ignition. Most keys for cars these days with the new technology are push to start. So in the end of the chapter, I just let each leader know, I ask them this critical self-reflection question. What push do you need to start to believe in yourself that you can truly do this equity work? And that's just in the first chapter. Just talk about the importance of leadership confidence. And I just continue with that theme throughout the book. And so, of course, the engine is the most important part of the car. So I'll talk about how the principal has to see themselves as the engine to drive the school where they need to be. And I've used all kind of research, personal experience, and everything I learned from being a leader myself, being a school leader, as to what it takes. I talk about my trials and errors and, everything that I've learned when it comes to not only just being a school leader, but also advancing equity in my school to help my schools grow, to help my students grow, and give my staff what they need to bring out the best in themselves. They can bring out the best in their students.
Yeah, I love it. as you know, I skimmed through it and checked it out in terms of what's in there. And at some point on these long flights, I'll be able to get into it even further. But I believe in the book, and that's why I wanted you to come on here and just talk to the folks about it. How can they get it?
You know what? So they can just, even if they just did a Google search, they put in Be the Driving Force or Dr. Don Parker, or they can go to Solution Tree website and just type in Be the Driving Force. And my book will come up, and they can just go ahead and order it, or they can just shoot me an email at drdonparker@drdonparker.com. And Principal Kafele, man, I just want to thank you for providing an endorsement for my book. I really appreciate you for sharing the platform and giving me the opportunity to come on this morning during this Thanksgiving weekend. So, you know, Thanksgiving weekend is all about expressing gratitude and gratefulness. Bro, I can't even tell you how grateful I am for you and how thankful I am to you for, you know, all that I've learned from you over the years as well.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you immensely. You know, now it's on Amazon as well, I think, right?
Yep. They can go to Amazon, type in Be the Driving Force, Leading Your School on the Road to Equity, and they can order it there as well.
Yeah, so those of you, you know, you Prime members and all that, you want to just keep it real simple, just go to Amazon, get your copy, and they probably send it to you tomorrow.
No doubt. But if they email me, I'm gonna go the extra mile, because you know that one of my mottos for leading schools is each person go above and beyond. So if anybody emails me, I will send them a signed copy of my book. I'll sign it. I'll put a nice little note in there for them, and I'll ship it and mail it to them myself.
There you go. Someone asked me to put it back on the screen. So there you go, Dr. Lower screen. So on the screen, you got two there, right? So hit Don up directly, right? And he go that extra mile.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right, bro. We'll talk.
All right. I appreciate you. Happy Thanksgiving weekend, everybody. Y'all stay great.
Sir. You as well.
Continue to be the driving force.
There you go. All right, folks, I got my guests ready to rock. So let me get my screen back the way I need it to be. I got my guest here. Let me get them up here. Here we go. Good morning. Hey, folks. Hit that share button, hit that retweet, hit that repost, hit that like button, tag somebody, hit them Facebook groups up, them leadership groups. Let them know we here. I want to share with you these bios, y'all. I'm gonna read quick. I thought I almost abbreviated, but I said, man, they got so much stuff in here. Let me read this first. I got Dr. Naima Smith in the building. Naima is a native of Yonkers in White Plains, New York. She graduated from White Plains High School in 1990. She attended North Carolina Central University in Durham, North Carolina, and graduated with a bachelor's of business administration and finance in 1994. In 99, she graduated from Pace University, Lubin, I hope I pronounced that correctly, School of Business, with an MBA in finance and human resources management. Naima enrolled in the SUNY New Paltz Education Administration program and graduated in 2007. She was a youth minister at Calvary Baptist Church from 2015 to 2021. In 2017, she completed the Institute of Youth Ministry Certificate program at Princeton University Theological Seminary. Her most recent and significant accomplishment, Naima graduated from the New York University Education Leadership and Innovative Doctoral Program in May of 2023. So we're talking about a very recent doctor here. She worked in the financial industry from 1994 to 2003 in municipal finance and diversified investment advisors, respectively. In 2003, she transitioned to public education as a middle and high school business teacher. In 2010, Naima was employed by Peekskill City School District as an administrator at Peekskill Middle School. In 2016, transferred to Peekskill High School as an assistant principal, where she currently serves in this capacity. She's most proud of being an awesome mom to her 14-year-old son, Tyler, and author of Wonderfully Made, Loving and Teaching in a Different Light. Her motto is that all teachers should be dedicated to creating a positive learning environment and making a difference in students' lives. It goes on, y'all. We got to get to these questions. So let me read the next one. We got my man, AJ Bianco. Is a devoted family man, husband, proud father of 3, who has dedicated his professional life to the field of education, currently serving as the assistant principal at East Brook Middle School in New Jersey AJ brings a wealth of experience and passion for innovative teaching practices to his role. One of his primary areas of focus is empowering and supporting educators. He takes great pride in coaching teachers, guiding them towards strategies that not only elevate their teaching skills, but also maximize the potential of their students. AJ is a firm believer in the transformative power of technology in the classroom and consistently advocates for integration to enhance the learning experience. Known for his commitment to progressive educational approaches, AJ champions blended learning practices, personalized learning, project-based learning, and the flipped classroom model, which we're going to talk about. He believes in tailoring teaching methods to the unique needs of each student. I want to repeat that. He believes in tailoring teaching methods to the unique needs of each student, fostering a dynamic and inclusive learning environment. Also, AJ he does a lot of podcasting, and he got a lot of stuff here. So when we close out, I'm gonna let him give you all that information in terms of how you can check into listen to his podcast as well. Let me go to the last one, and you all forgive me for abbreviating. When I took all that time with Don, I got to make sure that we have good time to talk about what we're going to talk about. Sherell wrote hers in first person, so check it out. Hello, my name is Sherell Benders, and I'm driven by a passion for education, community service, and the well-being of young minds. Born and raised in Newark, New Jersey, I've dedicated my life to assisting others, finding my greatest joy in witnessing the prosperity of those around me. My guiding motto is to pay it forward, instilling in me a sense of responsibility to contribute positively to the lives of others. My dream is to establish the Home of Positive Enlightenment, a nonprofit organization with a mission to serve as a prevention program for teenagers, focusing on mental health, academic growth, and overall personal development. This initiative, spanning New Jersey, North Carolina, and Atlanta, aims to prepare students for college while fostering social and economic development. As the president of this organization, I draw from my experience as a foster parent and the student awareness coordinator to provide love, education, and understanding to today's youth. One more paragraph. My educational journey has been diverse, reflecting my commitment to making a difference. I hold a master's degree in administration supervision from Montclair State University, which equipped me with valuable leadership skills. However, my desire to directly impact students led me to pursue a second master's degree in counseling, allowing me to empower and mentor students to overcome challenges and pursue higher ed. I just want to read this last paragraph. Currently serving as the principal of summer school for Newark Public Schools at Belmont Runyon Elementary, I'm responsible for creating a positive school culture, fostering a safe environment, and ensuring academic success. Simultaneously, my role as vice principal at Belmont Runyon Elementary involves developing social-emotional learning components, reducing discipline referrals, and enhancing overall student engagement. I threw in that last paragraph, folks, because I wanted to be instructive with it, where she said, I'm summer school principal. A lot of times folks will say, how can I be seen, right? How do I get noticed so that I can get the interview? So when I saw that out the corner of my eye, even though I read it during the week, I said, let me throw that in there because there's somebody on this call that you need to be volunteering to do some things. Right, there's a plethora of different things that you can be doing. Some of them you may be paid for, others is volunteer, but being paid for, it really doesn't matter, right? You want the exposure because you ultimately want to be recognized. You want people to see you. You want people to see that you add value if given an opportunity. So make sure that whatever's out there, I don't care what it is, whatever's out there that highlights, exhibits your skill set, that lets people see what it is you have to offer, including the person who makes the ultimate decision, and that's the superintendent and voted on by the board in a public school. You want folks to see what you have to offer so that you can stand out amongst the crowd and ultimately land the position, and now the real work begins. I wanted to throw that in there. Hey, y'all, once again, good morning to you. Good morning to you. I am ready. Hit that share button, hit that retweet. Here we go. First question I ask every guest that's been on here, Dr. Smith, as I'm going to call you, Naima, as an educator, who is Dr. Naima Smith?
Dr. Naima Smith is a purpose ambassador. and I live by the motto of loving on purpose.
I'm gonna ask you to break that down because I've never heard that used that way in my life. Purpose ambassador. Obviously, I think we all can figure out what you mean, but I want to hear it from you. What is a purpose ambassador?
My purpose is to make sure that students understand what their purpose is in life. And it's not only just students, but students and staff.
Hmm.
What is your purpose? What is your purpose? What is your why?
Yeah.
Why are you here? And so I make sure that students and staff understand what their purpose is as they walk into the classroom, walk into the building every day. What is their purpose? What is their purpose on being here? What is their purpose for the future? What is their purpose of now? And so I consider myself as a purpose ambassador.
Love it. Purpose ambassador. AJ Bianco, as an educator, who is going beyond the bio? Who is AJ Bianco?
The best way I can describe myself is somebody that is I guess I'll use the word champion for the students. I put them first and always. That's why I got into this profession. That's why I coach. That's why I do what I do every day, because I want to make sure my students know that they are welcome in our school and they belong, and that we are building a school for them, and that we are doing this because they are in our care. So my job, I feel like, is to be there for the teachers, to support them, but really I want to be there for the students so they know every day they come to school, they have at least one person they can count on, whether it's me or another adult. We put our students first, and that's what I do every single day.
I love it. I love it. Champion for the students. We got Sherell Benders in the building from Newark, New Jersey, right next door. I can see Newark from when I walk outside my home here in Jersey City. As an educator, Sherell, who is Sherell Benders?
Thanks for asking that question. I started out as being a child advocate, but then you realize you're an advocate, period, right? You are advocate for your parents, you are advocate for your staff, you are advocate for your students, you are even an advocate sometimes for your principal, right? Because at the end of the day, to thy own self be true. I'm a mirror. People look at me, people see me. I'm a billboard every day. I reflect the good, the bad, the ugly, the growths, the glows, the strengths, the weaknesses. I am a reflection of the growth that I want to see is who I am. So to me, when I use the word self, it's something everyone looks for in me. So they're looking for that leader, they're looking for that advocate, they're looking for that parent mentor. Some of my students are looking for that parent, and I see myself as an advocate and a mirror for all of us to grow and self-reflect. That's who I am.
That Sherell, that word advocate, that's one of my words, because when I think about the word advocate, I think about fighter, right? And do students have someone fighting for them? Do staff, do teachers? Because a lot of times, as we're all in school systems. I was, you three are, and a lot of time things come from central office that have to be implemented. And I don't know, I didn't always agree with those things that were coming down the pike. So I had to offset them by being that advocate for my teachers and knowing how to go to my superintendent and say, wait a minute, let's rethink this thing, because this is not going to help my staff, right? So being that fighter doesn't mean I won every time. No, it doesn't. But it does mean that my staff knew that I was fighting, being that advocate. So that word is so important. It's so important. Let's go. Dr. Smith, I wrote Dr. Smith on all of these. So now I got to condition myself to say Naima, right? So all over these pages it is Dr. Smith. And Naima, you had this, and I'm using my language here. You had this passion for finance and business. And I'm sure you still do. But career-wise, you made a shift. You got a degree in finance and business. And then you make this shift and go into the classroom teaching business, but you're not in some Fortune 5 corporation. You're in a school teaching business. You ultimately go into the assistant principalship, and then you study and earn a doctorate in education administration. My question, my first as a two-parter, is why such a drastic, significant pivot or shift into education when your passion was business?
Well, children have always been a part of my career goal,
Through the church?
and in everything that I did, from community to church to everything that I did. Well, while I was working in corporate, I had a youth group in the community, and so working with the youth, working with the community has always been a passion and has always been the connector for me. And it's been natural. I have a natural connection with children. And so it was natural to go into teaching. And when I made that deciding factor, people were not surprised. And so it was an easy transition. And so just being able to go from finance into teaching, it wasn't hard. And then being able to teach business, that it was an easy transition as well. And so I'm very passionate about it, very passionate, and to be able to make the connections, because there is business in education. And so being able to utilize those business skills, particularly in administration, those back office um, transitions and what we have to do, and the paperwork and the budgets. So that became very beneficial into the job that we have to do today.
Love it. And now with you in your current capacity of assistant principal, is what you conceptualized the assistant principalship to be before you became it? Is it aligned with the reality of being an assistant principal, or is there something else there?
Absolutely not. um, and in true transparency, there are many days where I say I wish I never left the classroom. Because there's a lot of red tape, there's a lot of bureaucracy that goes on, that are behind the scenes, that sometimes you just don't want to deal with, as is being the assistant principal. And sometimes you see what the principal has to go through, on that leadership level, and then even higher. It's a lot of political transitioning, and a lot of political work that goes on within the position, that you don't see, when you're looking from the other side. And that when I say the other side, from the teaching side, you don't see that piece of it, and you don't see the paperwork in the background, and the late hours, and all of the other stuff that you don't get paid for, but you are required to do.
Yeah. I have to imagine that with your background in finance, that it's a plus for you. I don't know to what extent that you have any dealings with the budget as an AP. Some schools it would be extensive, and it would range to non-existent. But when you become principal one day, if that's your aspiration, I have to assume that your background in finance is going to give you a great advantage to being able to manage a multi-million-dollar budget, school budget.
Yes, it does. In my former work, that's what I did. I managed multi-million-dollar budgets. When I was assistant principal at the middle school, I had a dual role of assistant principal and running $1 million budget for a grant, for an after-school grant, and writing the grant. And so having that background helped to foster and make that work. And so it really did helped me, and it was a very good benefit for having that business background and being able to keep things structured and organized. Um, and then looking forward to what the possibility could be if I want to move up into assistant superintendent, if I want to go into the business aspect of that, that that gives me some leverage in that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. AJ, thinking about your professional life before you became an AP, would that be in the classroom?
Yeah, I was a social studies teacher for 15 years, middle school social studies.
So those 15 years, somewhere within those 15 years, either somebody said to you, I think I see an administrator in you, or you felt it yourself. But even if somebody said it, at some point you had to claim it, right? So,
Mhm.
so talk to us about what was it that you saw in yourself once you came to that realization that you felt that in the assistant principal role, that you, AJ Bianco, would add value to a school, to the students in a school, to the staff in a school, to the principal. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so there was a few things that kind of come to mind as you mentioned that. My first 5 years of teaching, if I can go back in time, I would change everything I did, because I was one of those teachers that did everything by the book. Let's read the textbook, let's answer the questions, let's do a test. I that was just not the way to teach, and I apologize for that to my students that I still connect with to this day, and that was wrong, but that's how I learned. I took a job at another school district, and they kind of allowed me to be me. They told me to go out there and teach. And I started teaching the way that I wanted to be taught when I was a student. I wasn't a very good student. I kind of wanted to be there for my friends. I wanted to be there for sports, and I went for school for that reason. And I started to kind of incorporate my old way of teaching with my new thought process. So, going into I think it was year 7 or 8 for me as a teacher. I had my first child, and I thought, if this is what schools are going to be, then my kids are going to be, behind. We can't teach this way to our new generation. So all of a sudden, I started getting myself interested in technology, and I started doing a lot of PD and presenting at conferences, and I got that confidence that I can do this and I can be a change for schools. And I started talking to some people, and I started looking at the administrative courses and going for that route. And I started seeing something in me that other people started to see as well. Like, you should really move on. And I was like, well, I really love the classroom. But I started to realize that the only change that I can make is in my classroom, then I'm not doing enough. I wanted to be there for students. I wanted to be there for teachers. And I wanted to make this change on a larger scale so that all students, in my school, 600 students can benefit from my leadership. And it took me a while to kind of figure out what I wanted to do, whether it was going to be technology and like a curriculum role, if I want to do a supervisor role. But I realized, through other trials and tribulations, that I need to be with students. As I mentioned before, the only way that I can do what I want to do is to be working with students to show them that they can do these kind of things as well.
Yeah, yeah. I felt the same way, which is the reason that I'm not a superintendent today. I have to be around students. I just can't. I've walked away from so many offerings and opportunities that I didn't want because I knew that I couldn't be that guy. I'm a teacher. I want to teach all day. So as a speaker, I can still do that. But it's with adults, but I can still teach. Whereas as superintendent, that's a whole other animal, so to speak. And I just didn't want it. So the same follow-up I had for Naima. You conceptualized the assistant principalship, obviously, before you became it. Does it align with the reality of being an assistant principal?
Yes and no. As Dr. Smith said, there are some things there that I did not expect going into the job. I as soon as you tell people I'm going to go be an assistant principal, the first thing I said is, "Are you ready for the discipline?" And I knew the discipline was going to be there, And I started looking at ways that we can, focus on discipline, because we know today's day and age. As I stare at my 2 boys who are here playing right now, the discipline is not, let's just yell at them, let's just put the hammer down, let's do all the things that were done to us as students. It doesn't work anymore. So I started looking at different ways to bring about discipline, and we started looking at restorative practices. And me and the principal are hand in hand with what we like to do and how we discipline our students. So that's one thing. You know, I didn't realize the amount of discipline and some of the things that would come from it, but you know, we knew that'd be there. There are other things that, you know, looking at it now, I'm like, wow, like what did we just step into? These are things I never knew when I was in the classroom. I didn't realize the amount of emails, the amount of anger that would be thrown my way, and especially at the principal. Like that stuff I didn't see. That stuff I never even thought about. Like you hear it, but then you're like, oh, it's got to be, you know, just one parent. But there's just a lot of anger and a lot of hate out there for a variety of different reasons. And that's what we're trying to combat. And I think that's the hardest part. That's the stuff that, you know, when you build up your school climate and culture, that's the kind of stuff you're like, oh, this is great. But on the outside, they don't know. And they're pounding down the doors trying to figure out what we're doing inside that they don't always like.
You know, that was interesting with the anger because, you know, I guess I was beloved as a teacher. And so I'm not thinking that I'm going to step into this new role and folks going to be mad at me and, you know, all that kind of thing, telling me off, cursing me out, calling the superintendent, you know, whatever it was, you know, that I didn't see that coming, but it came. So I had to make certain adjustments so that I could prevent it from being a part of my reality. Hey, y'all, hit that share button, hit that retweet, hit that repost, tag somebody, let them know, hit that like button. Even if you don't like it, like it anyway, right? That activates those algorithms. I'm going to Sherell on this one. Hey, Sherell, and I want to go to that nonprofit, and I'm gonna read this. You've got this dream of establishing the Home of Positive Enlightenment, a nonprofit organization with a mission to serve as a prevention program for teenagers, focusing on mental health, academic growth, and overall personal development. I share that because this, you know, those three components are inherent in the work we do as leaders. So I want to ask you, why the emphasis on mental health, academic growth, and personal development? What is it about that you're zeroed in on those three areas?
Because you asked the question of, did I expect to be a AP or a vice principal? Not at all. Unlike Dr. Smith, I started out as a teacher and I was like, wait a minute, their basic needs are not being met, right? In some of our districts, we have traumas. And I get it. We definitely have to move academics. We definitely have to show growth. But every consequence cannot be punitive. It has to be restorative. We have to meet their basic needs. We have to make sure they can eat. We have to make sure they're okay. We have to make sure that at the end of the day, they know somebody loves them. Because if that is not the forefront of us as leaders, we're not going to produce results. That's not a threat. That's a promise. Because at the end of the day, it is our responsibility to make productive leaders. That's why my saying is not for school, but for life do we learn. I'm not teaching you to become a mechanical engineer. I'm not teaching you to get a career. I'm teaching you to be a productive citizen that says, hey, I need help, and today is not a good day. So that I can say, we're going to suspend our day today, and let's find out what we need to be and produce great results. And that's a ministry, right? Not all the time is that a skill set. That is being able to read the room as a leader and saying, hey, we're not in a good space to produce results. Stop. We can't do nothing else. Pause. Think. Don't move. Be silent. And then let's get it done. Because you can continue to pack on whatever you want and think you're going to get an end result. But if people can't do any more, you're not going to get an end result, at least not a productive one. So at the end of the day, I had to move from punitive. And that don't mean that it's not some days where I'm like, you know what? But until you say, hey, how can I change this behavior? Because I done sent this kid home 10 times. What do I need to do to change the behavior so that I'm not continually giving this kid a consequence. Let's look at this behavior. Let's figure it out. Let's figure out, why is this cry for help so drastic that at the end of the day, we can get them what they need and produce great results.
Y'all, I noticed in the thread, y'all started like giving me a barrage of comments. You got to understand, Sherell Benders is from Brick City, Newark, New Jersey, right? So she bringing that Brick City fire.
And my shameless plug to my Soros and Sigma Gamma Rho. I see y'all. To my first grand, I see y'all. And I'm here to represent. But my heart is true, and I just don't want to see people hurt. And we need, not that we can fix everything, but most of it is about giving them, even us, we got days too. So when you ask, was I ever expecting to be a vice principal or it to be to this capacity? No, it was a drastic paradigm shift of the mind. Because at the end of the day, I knew that a ministry was to save and impact lives. And how do you do that socially, emotionally, and academically, and drive them together? That takes faith, that takes a skill, that takes mentors, that takes conversation, that takes a Principal Kafele saying, Sherell, Thanksgiving, and me going, me, right? That takes a conversation among great leaders.
I love it. Hey, Sherell, let me stay with you for a minute. As an assistant principal, and I know in Newark they use the language vice principal. So as a vice principal, I want you to hear this carefully. With that focus on academic growth, mental health, and personal development, are you able to be that advocate, that focus as a vice principal? What are the struggles? Because we our topic, let's keep it real about the assistant principal, right? So I'm asking you through that vein, are you able to be that person in that capacity of a PVP?
So when you say let's keep it real, it's a yes and it's a no. Yes, meaning that you have to take some risks, right? And listen, I'm looking at people say Brick City, Brick City, Brick City. That's the truth. There's some fight in me that I'm just like, it's the best interest. I'm gonna have to take this L, right? Because sometimes you just have to say, hey, I'm gonna lose this battle to win the war, right? So sometimes, yes, there is some things that I'm just not bending on. And then there's some things that I just strategically learn how to separate my anger from my passion and understand how to get what I need. So sometimes, yes, the red tape won't let you do some things. But if you get a grant or you develop a partnership with some stakeholders, sometimes you can just write that up like, listen, we not doing that well in this area. We need to get some growth, right? So if discipline was one of our issues when we first got there, all right, this program will help decrease that if you allow it. And this is what it looks like. And hey, that volunteer thing, I'll be the leader, right? Because sometimes you got to sacrifice financial gains to be the leader to get what you need that's in the best interest of everybody else. And sometimes it's not in the best interest of you. And when I say not in the best interest of you, meaning you're not going to be the one to get no credit. It's okay. You're not going to be the one to get that pat on the back. It's okay. But when you look up at your Belmont t-shirt, say straight out of status, then you know you was a part of something great, which was to create change and watch your students go from somebody thinking something negative to the great things that we are doing now currently as a whole. So yeah, yes, it wasn't always easy. And no, it's not always done, with everyone's blessing. Sometimes it's that, okay, I'm gonna let you try it, but make sure that this is done the right way. And not all the time do you do it the right way. We get our hands slapped a lot as administrators, not just from higher ups, but sometimes our parents, right? Sometimes we need to say, hey, Mom, I understand. I'm here for you. I'm not the bad guy. Tell me what you need so that we can help you, help your student, help themselves.
So one more thing, and then I'm gonna keep moving, Sherell. The same question that I asked the previous two. At some point before you became an administrator, you did have an idea. You conceptualized what the assistant principalship would look like with you in it. So now I'm asking you, does how you envisioned it align with the reality of being Vice Principal Sherell Benders?
Oh, yes and no. Yes, because I'm definitely a fighter. We gonna go to war for my students to be successful at all costs. But what I learned as an individual African American woman is that it can cost me, right? It could cost me my health, right? Some days my blood pressure is through the roof for fighting so much. Sometimes it can cost you your character, where I will give you the shirt off my back, and yet you could think I'm mean. You could think I'm stubborn. You could think I'm negative. You could think I'm the bitter Black woman. And the reality is that at the end of the day, you become so much of who you are when you fight all the time. And I don't want to be perceived as a negative fighter. I just want to be perceived as an advocate and a servant leader. And sometimes that fighting doesn't let people perceive you as that, because how aggressive you have to be. So I had to learn how to separate my anger from my passion. And even still now, it's not easy, because I'm looking at myself in the mirror saying, oh, okay, put your hands down, right? Be politically correct, Bricks. But that's the reality.
I was getting ready to remind you of that.
The transition. That's the reality of the transition of the work and the passion, and not being angry, of just wanting my kids to do well.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Let me go to Dr. Smith. Doc, I'm loving this conversation with y'all, by the way. Doc, I'm going back to your bio, and again, I'm thinking about you studying finance, but also your love of young people. And as I was reading it for the first time, I thought about how it made me think about how circumstances that just fall in our lap, come our way, can literally impact the way we march forward. So this example I have, I wasn't a reader until I became 23. And I read my first book from cover to cover at the age of 23. I knew how to read, but I saw no interest in it. I had no interest in it. So I read this book, African American History. It's Malcolm X. And then I read and read and read more and engross myself into African American history. Now, these authors become my heroes because I'm intrigued and inspired and encouraged and empowered by the fact that they're writing these words and what they're doing to me. So I become an author because of me admiring other authors, not knowing that when I read the first book, this is going to convert me into an author, because being an author was not, and I'll say it again, I'll say it one more time, was not on my radar. In fact, I didn't even think I had it in me. So, but that circumstance of reading completely shifted my trajectory, and now I'm being known as Principal Kafele, right? So I'm saying that to say this, to ask you this. Here you are doing your thing with life, but you're not a school administrator. So as your own circumstances shifted your trajectory, if you can recall this, did you see yourself not just becoming an AP or a principal one day, but did you see you doing this at a high level? And if you did, where is that coming from?
I would have to say that, similar to what you just talked about, I did not see myself in this position. One, I was a struggling reader growing up, in remedial classes, even in college. I had to take a remedial reading class. So I did not see myself where I am now. One as an author, one as a doctor. But to have people speak into my life was important, from my friends to educators to those that are around me. And it's the community that embraced me, that helped me to get where I am, from my family to my friends to community. And so it's a yes and a no. Yes, that I am where I am because of the support that I have, and no, because there was a point in my life where I did not think that I would be where I am because of I had difficulty and struggle. I was great in math, but I struggled in the reading part. And so I share the story with my students to let them know that I was once you. And that when you put your mind to anything, you are capable of doing anything. And so I share it in my book about how I struggled with reading. However, here I am as an author. And the hardest thing that I ever had to do was to complete a doctorate. And to be able to complete and finish the doctoral process was an accomplishment. And so it's building those relationships and creating that community to be able to foster that oomph inside of you to be able to push to that next level is what I try to instill in young people, and build that fire inside of them to let them know that they are able to do anything that they put their mind to, as long as they're willing to do the hard work. And it required the hard work, and the hard work of just putting everything that you have inside of you.
You know, you said something that triggered a thought. You were excellent in math, but struggle with reading.
Yes.
Let's go down this path real quick. There's a student sitting in somebody's classroom of the family that are viewing right now. In fact, there's probably multiple students that are represented by the folks who are on the call right now as my AP and New Principals Academy family. There's a youngster. I want to lock in on one youngster. This youngster knows mathematics, but this youngster struggles with reading. But the mathematics of today is inclusive of reading. So because that deficiency in reading exists in that youngster's life, we can't get to the mathematics because of the reading. So my question to you, Doc, because of your background, that youngster could wind up being a failure in math, and we not know that this youngster is a mathematical genius, but can't get to the math because of the reading. And then this youngster could, long story short, be a candidate for special needs, or a candidate for dropping out of school because of the frustration in a subject area that I'm actually brilliant at. My question to you is, how do we sift through the reading toward ensuring that this youngster is being recognized for the math ability that this youngster has?
You know, going back to something that you said, finding the reading that these youngsters are interested in. Being culturally responsive. I did not enjoy reading until I found a book that I related to.
Woo.
I picked up Maya Angelou's book, I know why the cage bird sings. And I read that book cover to cover because I was able to connect and relate to something in someone, and I saw a Black person that was an author, and I related, and that was the catalyst that hooked me to reading. And then I wouldn't put a book down ever since.
Yeah.
I wouldn't stop reading ever since. But finding that one thing that is going to connect that kid to something, being culturally responsive, being having something, whether it's sports, whatever that interest of that child is, being able to bring that behavior, being able to bring that item to the student in the classroom, that makes a difference.
I love it. Hey, y'all out there, fam, hear us on that question, because that matters. That kid is sitting in classrooms all over America, all over America. AJ, let me holler at you. I want to read a quote from your bio. It says one of AJ's primary areas of focus is on empowering and supporting educators. He takes great pride in coaching teachers, guiding them towards strategies that not only elevate their teaching skills, but also maximize the potential of their students. That's a powerful statement. And particularly when we think about the stereotypes of assistant principals who are not able to be those supports for teachers because they're dealing with all the other stuff such as discipline, etc. So my question to you, you're an AP, and that statement, it probably resonates with everybody on live and everybody who will watch the video later. But the reality is it may not necessarily capture the reality of some of the folks or many of the folks who are in assistant principal capacities. Talk to us about the significance of supporting teachers instructionally, because y'all know, those of you who are regulars, you know that's my area of interest. Talk to us about the importance of supporting teachers instructionally and how you, AJ Bianco, in an AP capacity, are able to make this happen within your leadership.
Yeah, so this is one of the things we just talked about. Is this one of the expectations going in? I thought, as an instructional leader, that'd be it. Let's get in those classrooms. Let's travel. Let's bounce around. Let's have those conversations. But of course, it doesn't always work that way. We're focusing a lot on the discipline. For me, just truly, it's having those conversations with my staff. Those small conversations before class, whether I'm in an observation, and during our post conference, it's just working with them to figure out what they need. We've heard the term throughout this entire episode of servant leader, and that's what we are, right? So for me, what do you need from me? It's the only question I keep asking. What do you need from me? What lesson are you doing? Can I come in? Can I help you? I don't even like writing up the observations sometimes. Just let me in your room. Let me see what you're doing. Let me help you to work with our students, because it might not even be the lesson that I want to see. It might just be the student that I want to see. I'm having a tough time with this student. He's just not getting it. She's just not understanding. They just don't care. That opens it up for me that I can have a conversation with that student. How's it going in math class? How's it going in social studies? Just being part of that classroom, being on their side, the teacher's side, it allows me to do so much more. It knocks out those discipline issues if they are there. Technology was a big part of my growth as an educator. It's why I started doing this, because I was able to present, finding the technology that resonates in the classroom for this teacher, that makes it interesting for the student, and it's not just a game, makes all the difference in the world to our kids. We're all going that route of technology. During the pandemic, we had technology. We probably didn't use it the best way we could have. We probably could have done so much more. We probably could have taken more chances. And that's what I want to do. I want to allow my teachers to take those chances. Fail, fall on your face. It's okay, because I'm going to be there to pick you up. And I tell that to my teachers every single time. When we have our pre-conference, what do you want to see, AJ? I don't want to see anything. I want you to teach a lesson. Don't make it a dog and pony show. I don't want that. I want you to teach. so I can actually see what you do. Because I can't always get into a classroom to do my walkthroughs. I can't always be there. But if we're going to sit here and you're going to tell me, here's my lesson, here's my focus, here's what I need help with, that's where I'm going to work. And if you fail, I'm not going to put it in the computer and say, what an awful lesson. What an administrator for me, my first year of teaching, threw away a lesson because it was terrible. And that sat with me every single year I teach and every single time I go into a classroom. And if it's not good, it doesn't count. It's only time. I'll get it back somewhere. I always try to push my teachers to do more, do the most you can to make our students feel like they belong and be entertained, because that's what we're doing now. As educators, we are entertainers, and we have to keep it flowing because the kids are scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and we can't do that in the classroom every time.
AJ, you just said something, man. I can't even move forward. I gotta go back to that lesson that you taught because it's so much in there. So the lesson didn't go well. That, as you just said, that administrator could have gone on and based your year on that lesson or that semester on that lesson, and then there's your rating for the year, right? There's your increment that you may have lost, right? And so on. But that leader understood that we all have a bad day. I'm not my best on top of my game on this platform 188 times. Right? Like I feel I'm on fire today. I don't know what it is, but I'm on fire today, but I'm not always on fire. I tell my wife when I'm done, I was like, man, I wasn't feeling myself today. Right. So every day is not a good day, but how are we going to take that one day with the evaluation and base on the observation and base the evaluation on that one day, which may have been a bad day. No telling what's going on in someone's life. So I'm using what you said to holler at the audience, right? SHOLA, holla, HOLLA, right? To say, hey, folks, maybe that day was a bad day, man. Maybe you need to get back in there, right? Or when your superintendent came by, and those of you who are principals, and followed you for a little while, and it just wasn't your day, right? Maybe you maybe that soup needs to come back and see you on a different day. So I'm just saying, I'm just seizing the opportunity, AJ, to say, you said something with that, man. You said something with that, right? That sometimes we may need to take another look, y'all. And some of us don't get many opportunities to get in the classrooms, but that's a whole other discussion, right? So if you're only getting in there once a semester out of the 2 semesters, so you get in there twice a year, and you got there on the worst day, and now that's how you gonna rate that teacher? No. Come on. We got to rethink that. I appreciate you sharing that, man. I think I'm going to write a blog, a post about it tomorrow when I do my Sunday morning commentary.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah, that's going to be my topic tomorrow. I know it is. Sherell, let me come back to you. You have a background in counseling. And although counseling is here and administration is here, so they're not the same thing, there's a tremendous amount of overlap between the two. I want you to talk to us about the overlap and tell us, in what way did counseling influence who you are as a leader?
Wow. So it influences who I am as a leader, just to talk about what AJ was just talking about, right? Advocacy, right? Coaching, right? You asked, was being a principal, what a vice principal, what I thought it was going to be. Absolutely not. Because I definitely understood AJ's concept of being an academic or administrative leader, right? An educational leader, meaning that we're going in, we're looking at academics, we're moving ELA, we're moving math, we're moving science, we're moving social studies. And instead, I start figuring out, hey, Benders is picked for managing behaviors, right? So you said something about how do we impact change. And I just jotted some things down about things that I would love to do more of. And because of, everyday things that happen in the building, I'm supposed to coach my teachers every week. So when we go in the classroom, what AJ said was powerful, right? I had to move my glasses for a second, because do we then say that we failed when that teacher don't do well? Because we didn't coach them. We didn't talk to them. We didn't go in and make sure they had what they needed, right? But we went in and said, oh, that lesson was horrible. When that kid behavior or acting out comes in a math or reading classroom because they don't do well, did we look at the student path? Did we create an INRS? Do we look at interventions, know what they are, know how to use them, know how to go back and change them, see which ones are effective, which ones are not working for that stuff? We don't get to do most of those things. And those things are important for our student and staff success, right? I don't get a chance to go to every one of my teachers and say, hey, let me see your student pack. Hey, model what this strategy look like. Does this strategy work? What would be a better strategy for Sherell in your classroom, since we know she's not doing well with ELA, or she can't read this book, right? How do we get better at helping people help themselves? So when AJ talked about being that administrator to throw that observation out, I get that. That's why I said advocate, right? Because if I can't throw it out, I'm going to fight for the best thing I've seen. And I'm going to go for that competency and that indicator that's going to make them effective. And I will go with effective before I go with partial any day, because it's a difference in skill and will. It's very different. A teacher that do not want to be there, who is old school, new school, don't feel it, take all that, that's different than a person who just needs to be coached to the best teacher they can be. And sometimes they better than us, right? Better than us as academic leaders, better than us as math teachers, better than us as ELA teachers, right? So when we talk about what does that look like, and for me, how do I pull it in with counseling? I'm a motivator. My teachers tell you I motivate, I encourage, I empower, and I fight and advocate all day, every day. All day, every day. And that is the difference from being a type A leader and a leader that understands that we all have mental health, right? COVID made it more aware for people to respect it. But think about it. When we was coming up, nobody really respected a social worker or a school counselor. We thought that they had an office and they ain't do no work. Let's tell the truth, right? Now we understand the purpose of mental health, of social workers, of guidance counselors, of therapy, of how important it is just so that people could be their best self. So when you ask me what's the difference is coaching, the difference is being an advocate, the difference is motivating, the difference is encouraging and empowering, even through our difficult times.
It's powerful stuff. I appreciate that. Powerful stuff. I'm gonna keep it rolling. Dr. Smith, Naima. I got this motto. I guess I made it my motto in somewhere around 2018, where I said, the assistant principalship is the most misunderstood and underutilized position in all of education. I'll stand on that until the day I can't stand no more. Does that mean every assistant principal in America? No. It just means in far too many places, and particularly in urban school districts. So with that whole motto is rooted in instructional leadership. I'm saying if this person can't be what AJ discussed, then it's very difficult for that AP to be what those young people would need for them to be, as it relates to teachers continuing to grow and develop and become better at their practice. So my question, my thought to you first, you mentioned in one of your talking points that the goal is always to create or build master teachers, right? So my question to you then, and I believe that. What matter of fact, let me go on just a few second tangent. I won't be long with this, but think about that. Like Sherell, you know Bashir Akinyele from Weequay High School. Okay, so I'm on a panel with Bashir and several other Norkers recently at Science High School in Newark, and Bashir was talking about just what he's been doing in that history class in terms of making it culturally relevant. So I'm sitting there listening, and then I jumped in. I said, Bashir, what about that teacher that could be in your building, hypothetically, because I don't want to call anyone out, but hypothetically, that's not doing what you're doing as it relates to culturally relevant pedagogy? I said, those students that come to you, they come to you by luck, just luck of the draw. So X number of kids go to you, and X number of kids go to your colleague who teaches the same subject, the same curriculum you teach, but you took the curriculum, breathed life into it, and made sure it was relevant to the students who are recipients of that curriculum and instruction. I said, so therefore, the life chances of your students are very different from the life chances of the other teacher, the students of the other teacher, just on the fact of the luck of the draw, who I wound up with versus the other. So that begs a whole conversation about, therefore, what's the role of leadership? So now, as I step off my soapbox, Naima, let me say this to you. I just had to throw that in there. How do we, therefore, Naima, create, build, develop a master teacher as an assistant principal when I'm in some school where the principal has relegated me to this full-time disciplinarian and all this other stuff, but I don't have time to facilitate the growth of teachers? How do I create the master teacher?
Well, first we have to make time. We got to make time, and so that requires time management skills. And we have this motto in our district is looking at the big rocks and pushing out the sand. We don't want to live in the sand, but looking at our 5 big rocks and really focusing on meeting our staff on their level. So I'm going to ask those questions to the staff of, what do you need? So when we're having those conversations, we're going to ask in the pre-observations, in the walkthroughs, in the walking in the hallways, in going into the staff lounge, what is it that you need from administration? What is it that you need from me? I'm going to ask, how are you doing? And getting to know them on their own personal level so that they can tell me their story, and then I can tell them my story, and then finding out how are you understanding your students in the classroom? Are you meeting your students on their level? Do you understand your students? Do you understand where the students are coming from? Because those are the courageous and hard conversations that we're having, that if you're not meeting our students where they are, then those are where the disciplinary issues are having. If you're having classroom management issues are issues in your classroom, that's where you are. So if you're not meeting those issues in the classroom, you can't become the master teacher if you don't have any relational issues. But it all first is rooted in love. And that is my motto. And so when I say loving on purpose, we have a purpose because love is our common language and it levels the playing field. And so if people don't have a heart of love and help them know that love is the great neutralizer, and that if you don't love children, it's going to come out. And so that is what's going to help build that master teacher. And it's all about communicating. It all starts with communicating. It all starts with being able to have those conversations, to help build on what they need in order to get them to become that master teacher, what resources they need. And so in those conversations, I provide the resources, I provide the articles, I give them the links to Dr. Kafele's YouTube YouTube links of what they need in becoming a master teacher. What does it look like to be to read and understand what the attitude gap is?
Oh man.
And understand not just in practice, but what does it look like? Just don't read the book, but what is Dr. Kafele talking about when he says, what does the attitude gap look like when you're meeting students at their level? And so not living it, but walking in it, in its purpose. And so those are some of the things that I live and I walk by.
I love it. I love it. That's powerful stuff. I'm gonna go right to AJ. You know, you're a champion of blended learning, personalized learning, project-based learning, and the flipped classroom. We could do the whole session just on that alone. But you know, when I read that, AJ, you know, I had a somebody mute for me.
Those are my guys. Hang on.
You okay? And you got to unmute in a second. So my translation when I read that, AJ, I said that means that when you walk into a classroom, rooted in your pre-observation conferences, or even when you just walk in blind, you're walking in that classroom with a preconceived notion of what it is you want to see. Like in other words, you're walking in there knowing that there's a certain kind of instruction that you feel based on your research, based on your experience, based on your knowledge base, that this is what I need to see in a classroom. So my question to you is, what got you? Oh, they laugh. What got you to this point as a leader, and particularly as an assistant principal?
What got me to this point? It started from my classroom. Like I said, I want to be there for the students, right? That's how I started this conversation, and I started to realize the lecture and the way of teaching just wasn't working for me. I was bored. I couldn't keep doing that for 5 periods a day, 6 periods a day. That didn't work for me. So I needed to start making changes to figure out how to get my students engaged, interested, and taking part in learning. You know, we continue to say the guide on the side. That's what I want it to be. I wanted my students to take the role as a middle school teacher. They were old enough now to step up and take the lead in the classroom. They don't want to hear from me. They want to hear from their peers. So I wanted my classroom when I was teaching. I wanted it to be energetic. I wanted it to be loud. I wanted it to be chaotic, and I wanted it to be students in charge. I brought that to where I am now as an AP because, you know, I want my teachers to feel they can give the students a chance to shine. I want my teachers to allow the students to take the lead in the classroom. You know, I tell them about the things I did, not because I want to brag on what I used to do, but I want to show them that they can take those chances. You know, like we talked about before, we want them to fail. So I want my teachers to give the students the chance to teach. I think that when students find something they're interested in, they're going to really enjoy the class. They're going to take more chances. You know, it'll build a different relationship between the teacher and the student. It'll build a different relationship between the students and their peers. You know, that's where I am. I want them to do more of it. I don't want the teacher to be lecturing because that's nothing. Our students can't handle that today. You know, we can't even talk to them for 5 minutes straight in the office and tell them what they did wrong. We need to make them more engaged. We need to make them more accountable to their learning.
So along the same lines, AJ, what advice do you have for our viewers today? Because we talking about, you know, just being real about the assistant principalship. So that assistant principal is so inundated with so many other responsibilities because due to the misusage of the AP. What advice do you have for that AP or principal that's watching? It's in the same predicament relative to walking in a classroom in just observing instruction as it is generically and rating it, as opposed to having an assortment of strategies and an assortment of different ways its classrooms are constructed, etc., such as the personalized learning, such as a flipped classroom, such as a blended learning, etc. What advice do you have for someone out there that just kind of goes into a classroom and watches a traditional lesson and then rates it and then moves on?
I really think you have to do your homework. You can't just sit there and look at a lesson and say, oh, it didn't have enough of this, or you stop with the buzzwords. You know, that's not, we can't live on that anymore. It's burning our teachers out, you know, by throwing buzzwords at them. I didn't give you that biography and say all those things because it's just things that like are there. Those are things that I lived by for 15 years of teaching. You know, if you're going to say, oh, I want to see blended learning, you have to know what it is. You have to know what you're looking for before you step in that classroom. If you want to talk about the flipped model, you know, and I talk about this with my wife, who is an 8th grade math teacher, things are thrown at her all the time. Like, oh, you should do more flipped learning. And I tell her, what do they want you to do? And then whatever she tells me is completely different of what the flipped model was supposed to be. You know, so if you're going to preach these things, you have to know what you're talking about, because you're going to look terrible to a staff member who knows and a staff member who cares. You have to make sure that you go in there and really know what you want to see. You have to. You cannot just make these things up.
Yeah,
it's not fair.
It's not. You just put a cap on it. It's not fair. That's it right there. It's just not fair. So you and I, as leaders, folks, we got to be well rounded. There's just so much to know about the classroom, and we got to be conversant. Great stuff. I'm gonna go to Sherell. Sherell, I gotta preface this before I give it to you. You gave me these 9 talking points, and I'm gonna be honest with you. They blew my mind. I literally said to myself, I could have done a one-on-one with you just on the 9, right? So then when I put it together and I knew I got 2 other guests, I said, all right, how do I cover these? And I concluded I can't cover them all, because I've known you for many years, and I know once you get going, you're gonna go, right? So I said, so I'm not gonna ask you all of them, but for this question, I'm gonna ask you 2 of them. Just give me the not the short version per se, but not the fully exhaustive version of what you mean by, I'm going to read this to you. You said every day is a new day. And then you said, don't hold on to anything. Be ready to give your best all the time. If anything is preventing you from giving 100%, it's time for change. Hurt people. And it's not fair to your staff or to your students. My question to you is, what are you saying in that message?
So again, right, we talked about understanding who you are. And for me, what I know is that once I say it, I'm done with it, right? But you have to remember what you say, there is someone on the receiving end. Right? Communication is powerful. Sometimes what we even think we say is not what someone else heard. So for me, if I hurt your feelings, my staff could tell you, I try to stop saying I'm forward and direct, because I want them to really understand I'm a servant leader. Nothing that I say is to manipulate, to hurt, to abuse them, but only to uplift, empower, and make us all better, right? So if I say something, they are allowed to say, can I talk to you for a second? Because if you don't have that relationship, then they can't give you their best. I'm a person. If you say something to me and I internalize it and I can't respond back to it, it's impacting my health. And I realized that as a 50-year-old Black woman, right? I didn't know that before. Before, I'm going to say exactly what I want to say. You can't do that as an administrator. So what happens is there becomes a filter on what you can say and how you can say it. To not only just protect you as a person, but to protect your role as a leader, right? So if you say something or someone says something to you, if you do not let it go, I promise you will hold on to that and it will impact your conversation with somebody else without you even knowing. So when I say hurt people, although we hear it often, it's true. If I'm not able to let go what someone said that impacted me, it might have been something as simple as, oh, Bendis, that was negative. Oh, Bendis, you hurt my feelings. Oh, Bendis, I ain't like what you said. That's a self-reflection statement. And at the end of the day, that's never my intent, no matter how forward and direct I am. So at the end of the day, if I'm not able to say, yo, Sherell really said something crazy today as my teacher, and I'm not able to go to her and say, listen, if I ask you to do blah, 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 then I really need you to do that. If you're not capable of it, or you're at your point too, right? Because sometimes we say no, or we just learning to say no and create boundaries. And my reason for never saying no is I never wanted anybody to think I was incompetent. Let's tell the truth. We don't say no because we don't want people to think that we are incompetent, when the reality is no mean I just can't take nothing else right now.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, you have to learn how to start all over another day. And that's a hard skill, but you have to wake up and say, God, thank you for another day. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. What do I do to say today? How do I talk to my people today? What is it that they need today? And let me be that advocate on their behalf. God, give me what to say to them today. Somebody might need to say, good morning, beautiful. How are you, handsome? How was your day today? How's your family? Sometimes that's what you need to start your meeting off with. Not, hey, did you get that lesson plan in today? Sometimes a lesson plan is the last thing on their mind, especially at our age, right? We're dealing with issues with our parents, right? We're dealing with our own mental health. Some of us dealing with depression and don't even know what to do. Some of us have never seen a therapist when I promise they need to be your best friend, right? So you have to be ready. You have to be ready to say, I take that. Tomorrow is a new day, y'all, and we gonna come back better than before, including me.
I love it. I got a second one for you, but let me holler at Micah Robinson, and it might be Mika Robinson. I think it's Mika Robinson. Mika, that's what you wrote. Is long, but that's a topic that I'm going to be doing with some other guests at some point soon. So just stay tuned. We're gonna be dealing with that for sure. Here's another one, Sherell. You said know when you had enough. So that's the topic. And then your description, know when you cannot take any more on. Know when you cannot take any more on. Create change in the way you do things and get organized and task focused. Be okay with creating systems that allow you to work smarter, not harder. Be fair to people you work with and for. If you know you are at the end, it's okay to bow out. It overlaps with that first one, and that's why I coupled them together. What's your message there?
I've been doing education for 28 years, and I love it. But there is a younger me who can take my school to another level. That can take, I'm sure she can wrap rings around me, whoever she is, right? And there has to be a time where you say, guess what? I'm exhausted. Guess what? Can I really do any better? My 100% is 100%. Do I have any more to give? And it's okay to be able to say, guess what? The 51-year-old Sherell may need to be a consultant, because the 51-year-old Sherell can't multitask or no longer is effectively doing everything 100% for the students, the parents, the staff, the principal, and most of all, herself. And you have to be able to say, is it time for me to do something else? And what does that look like? And be okay with that. Because for me, the best leaders are the one that realize all good things must come to an end. And it doesn't mean you can no longer be a great leader. You just may need to lead in a different capacity. And that's okay. And it's not just for principals. It's not just for vice principals. It's for teachers too. There is some teachers that, baby girl, and sir, ma'am, miss, let's go. You are giving 100%. But guess what? This is different. So let's find your younger you and let's have a conversation, mentor and coach them so that everyone can win. Because you still can win by having someone else take your place that is better than you. My students still win.
Yeah. I love that, Sherell. And I'm just going to say this. I know folks who are regulars on here have heard me say it before, but you gave me a context, and I just want to say this. I was a principal for 14 years, folks. I loved it. Did I have wars and battles with my superiors? Yeah, I did, because I'm outspoken. That's just who I am. So I was on the news, I was in the newspapers, I was on the radio, stories written about me, editorials, because I was an advocate. So when you take that position, when you go against the grain, you're going to get yourself into trouble sometime. But John Lewis called it good trouble, so I was good with it. But here's the thing, Sherell, and everyone else. As much as I loved it, I left it. I left it when I was at the top of my game, because I had another dream. And that dream was to do what you all know that I do every day for a living. I wanted to do that, right? So the timing I thought was right. I had 0 clients. And when I say 0, I had no clients. I walked away from a $160,000 job to do this, but I want to give you the why. And then I'm gonna move on to my next question. It wasn't that I outgrew it. It was, I was 50 years old. And I noticed that the superintendents were beginning to be my age and younger. See, as a young principal, the superintendents were always older than me and had more experience in education than me. But as I was getting older, it was starting to level out. And eventually it was going to be this. And my ego, I don't mind saying that, my ego was not going to allow me to answer to people that don't have my experience, that don't have my success, my track record, my resume. So I said, I can't live that life anymore. You coming in with your stuff, and I figured this out. My resume will back me up. I got receipts. So I said, let me transition to this life. And that's the only reason I left. I love being a principal, but I can't have some young buck telling me how to lead no school, right? Show me your receipts and then I could do it. Now, I'm not trying to be reckless on here and tell y'all out there to follow my lead, because everyone's not like me. You got to be you. So you might not be an entrepreneur, might not be in you. Everybody can't be an entrepreneur. Everybody can't live on airplanes. Everybody can't live in hotel rooms. Everybody can't live in rental cars. Everybody can't drive when you didn't make the connection. And now your engagement is 10, 12 hours away and it's already 7 o'clock at night. And you got to drive 12 hours and then show up unshowered, unshaven, unwashed, uneaten and whatever else. And now you got to be there and speak to an audience for the next 6, 7, 8 hours. And then you got a flight to the next city. That's not for everybody. So you got to figure out what's your lane. You got to figure out what's for you. So I knew I could endure that, but I knew I could not endure these younger superintendents coming up. And I had all them years under my belt and all them books I had written, by the way, because I was writing while I was still in the classroom and as a principal. So I'm saying that just to coincide with you, Sherell, that sometimes you got to know when it's time, and I'm going to use the slang, when it's time to bounce, right? Or at least move to a different district. Sometime a district is not for you. Sometime a school is not for you. Sometimes your name ain't on that district. Your name ain't on that school. Your name is on a school. I said this last week, as a matter of fact. Your name is in a school in a different time zone. Your name, you on the East Coast. Your name is on a school on the West Coast. Yeah. Sometimes you got to have the audacity to relocate, like pack up, get your family. Yo, we getting ready to live a different lifestyle, right? Your school could be in the Caribbean in St. Thomas, St. Croix, or St. John, U.S. Virgin Islands, right? You don't know, but sometimes we marry the school, we marry the district because we went to school there as a child. I ain't leaving here. I ain't leaving here. But you frustrated. I'm not talking to you, Sherell. I'm talking to folks out there. You frustrated. Your mental health is taking a hit because you won't venture out and find that place that got your daggone name on it. You're going to stay there and be frustrated. Might be shortening your life physically. So just keep that in mind, y'all. Let me stop preaching, man. I'm doing a solo next week, so let me stop preaching. Hey, Dr. Smith. Oh man, see, that's what I wrote, man. You know. Naima, you say that in order to build relationships, we must meet staff and students on their level. I call that equity, right? And see, it's a beautiful thing. I can take what you said and go into one of them districts where they tell me don't come in here with no equity now, because that's what they tell me. Like you can't say equity here, right? You don't talk. But I can go in there and say we got to meet the staff right where they are at the level they are, and I can go ahead and teach that lesson. And I taught equity the whole time I was there without mentioning the word equity, because what you just said, that's equity. That's all it is. It's equity. So my question to you, talk to us about how we go about building these equitable relationships with staff when we have folks on staff that do not necessarily see the world the way we see it.
Oh, that's loaded.
That's loaded.
That's loaded.
But keep it out of your school. It's just generic.
It's generic. Again, I want to say it really is. It's rooted in love. My philosophy is rooted in love, that we educate with a purpose, and that purpose is not to the test, not to what we see in the paper, but to human connection. And that is building relationships. And love is, again, the great neutralizer. And it helps to build community in the classroom, community with individuals, person to person. When you're communicating with one another, it helps to build those relationships. When you're talking to people and you see them as human beings, it helps to see them for who they are. It helps to create them and let them know that you see them for themselves. They help to see them for people, and giving them hope and success, that you're not seeing them as less than or above, like I'm bigger than you or I'm less than you, but really helping build community, helping them to see them that I'm human just like you're human. And I think that makes a difference. And I think that helps me to see how I meet staff, and then helping them to see this is how you translate it into the classroom, and this is how I talk to kids. Like I'm just like you. We regular.
Yeah.
And when they come into my office or we in the hallways, I'm regular. I'm regular just like you. We come from the same place. We look alike, we talk alike. I put my pants on just like you put your pants on. We're regular people. And so it all, again, it's rooted in love. And that's how we build community, that we have to be able to understand that there is a human connection, and that relationship builds hope. And that's the only way that we're gonna restore lives. We're going to restore success in the classroom. We're going to restore success in schools, before we can even talk about moving data or moving test scores, that people have to see each other as human beings.
Yeah. Hey, folks out there, well, I'm winding down. I got a goal of 2:00 Eastern, so 15 minutes. That's the goal, but we'll see. But we winding down. I'm getting to the end. AJ, I want to read from your bio again. It says you are a firm believer in the transformative power of technology in the classroom and consistently advocate for its integration to enhance the learning experience. Clearly, from everything that I've read from your bio and what I know of you, you have an instructional mind as a leader. It's like your thinking is instruction. So I want to ask you the question: Can a school maximize its potential with an AP who happens to evaluate half the staff or whatever percentage of staff who does not have an instructional focus? I'm not asking can that school be successful. I'm asking can it maximize its potential?
That's a tough one. Yes, and I think Dr. Smith said it the best. It's the relationship piece. As long as you are there, as long as you are building the relationships with your staff, you can put them in the right situation. That's all it takes. It takes communication, seeing who the people are around you, understanding their needs. You can do anything you want. You don't have to have that background. You can just be somebody who wants to be, the leader. But if you build that relationship and again, I'm going to take Dr. Smith's words here, rooted in love, that's where you can make people better. Show them who they can be. Anybody can do that being a person. Be a person, be a human, push. That's how you can improve instruction.
I love it. All right, I'm gonna try to hit that deadline. Let me keep moving. So, Sherell, I'm back to those talking points, and these are probably the two that resonate. Nah, they all did. I was getting ready to say these are the two, but they're not. And I don't know if I'm gonna give them both to you, but let me give you this one. You said know the difference between pedagogy and practice. And then you described it by saying, or explained it by saying, knowing the curriculum, your expertise areas, and the ideal world to teach it in is very different than working in a public school setting in which trauma exists hourly, daily, monthly, and yearly. What are you saying?
I'm saying just be mindful. I'm saying that theory and practice is different. I'm saying that you see behind me, oh, let me go the other way, right? This wall is amazing, but this wall is for me, my bachelor's, both masters, my EDS, my non-New Jersey certification. That's for me to say, I'm proud of you, sis. But that is not what has me surviving, not only at Belmont Runyon, I've been in education for 28 years. Those degrees is not what have me surviving 28 years. Prayer and practice and constantly talking to other leaders. Hey, this is happening. Help, please. Hey, this. Why are we having so many issues with discipline? Why is that a national thing? AJ talked about anger. Why are we so mad? Why are we going through so many traumas? What is happening and shifting in the world, in our lives, that's bringing it to our place of work, place of education for the students, or parents when they just really got a sense of cry for help? All of us is crying for help, but it's coming out in some way, shape, or form in behavior, academics, socially, emotionally. And for me, I just want to be able to say again that we're noticing that, we addressing those basic needs, and then we can move towards academic success. That's what we all want. No VP wants to be in somebody's building and not see us get off of some state list, or not be on the number of one out of how many thousands of schools that's on NJ in New Jersey school. Like, everyone wants accolades for success. Everyone wants people to see what they're doing. And everyone wants their children to benefit. But as an administrator, and you've asked us, did we think this was going to be a thing? Absolutely not. But how, now that I'm in it, how do I become a part of the system to create success? Period. And that's what does that look like? And sometimes you creating that in real time moments. Sometimes you going back and you saying, oh, self-motivation learning. Okay, I didn't know that we was changing the ELA curriculum today. Oh, junk, I didn't know. I just had 5 families get burnt out last night. Or there was a shooting on the block that impacted us as a school district. We never know. We never know. And so that day where that teacher has that lesson plan, right? Because we already gave them feedback for it, got shifted in a matter of some. It could even be their own issue, right? It could be us. With how many days have I woke up this year and said, oh my God, my blood pressure is 220. That day I had something planned. I promise I could show it to you. Rather it was an observation, rather it was pulling my student to make sure they see my face, rather it was going to tell my teachers or send them an email how they the best teachers in the whole world. You should see my emails, right? Again, that was my day. And yet I needed to ask for grace from my principal. I needed to say, hey, today not a good day, my head pounding. Can you give me some time? Or, hey, when I get there, I just need a minute in my office. Because my day was planned. That's not what happened for me that morning.
Wow. That's something. AJ, I got a second one for you, Sherell, but AJ, I want to come to you. But first, I just saw something that I wanted to read. Oh my God, where is it? All right, I have to paraphrase if I can't find it. Here, where we at? I think I see it. Where we at? Okay, here it is. Angela Ryans. And Angela Ryans, you said I had the nerve to think that Principal Kafele was taking a break because of the holidays. I should have known better. Hey, Angela, last year, if it wasn't last year, it was the year before. Christmas was on a Saturday. It was either last year or the year before. I was live on Christmas Day. Right, I was live, and we had a large number of people that came on, and then so obviously New Year's Day is the same. I was live on New Year's, so I'm live Christmas Eve, I'm live Christmas Day, I'm live if Thanksgiving. If it fell on a Saturday, I'd be live, right? So I'm live when I'm on vacation. Everybody knows I'm live. When I'm out here, when I'm on the road doing keynotes on Saturdays, I'm still live. So nothing comes in front of this. So that's that. But AJ, I left this up here for you. Let's look at what Janet Webster said. I couldn't just put that up and take it down and go to the next one. She said, I thirst for an opportunity to support in instruction. However, my day is operations and discipline. I'm working to make time. And then she talked about how this live has empowered me to keep trying to support in the classroom and to build relationship rooted in love. I guess that's sort of a AJ and a Naima question. Let me go to AJ on that first part. What do you say to Janet? Man, she's looking for help.
I plan my day as well, and I always leave. Well, so let me start with this. I plan my day. I plan my morning to make sure that I get to where I want to be. If I have to deal with discipline, it'll come. But my morning, greeting students, walking around the building, doing a couple of rounds, getting to wherever I can. I have a large chunk of my day that is dedicated to lunch duty. So during that time, I'm with students. After that, that's where a lot of the missed time has to go. But my morning is planned out that if I don't have something on the calendar that's a meeting or something that's detrimental to my job, I'm walking around the building, I'm doing rounds, and I'm popping in wherever I can. 3 minutes. That's all you have to see sometimes. It might extend your time, but you got to block out that opening chunk of the day to be there. Being visible, being part of the classroom environment, that's going to change everything. Then it might not be the first day, but over time, the more you're visible, the more you're in the classrooms, the discipline will wait. It's going to be there. It's not going to change. Unfortunately, it'll be there for you, but those teachers are going to need you, and that instructional push is what you want to be. That's where everything starts from. Getting in the classroom, helping out your staff. That's when the discipline will be minimized and everything will change for your day. So I'm going to say, that first chunk of the day, whether it's an hour, hour and a half, whatever the case may be, get in the classrooms, have those conversations wherever you can. That'll change everything for you going forward.
Love it. Naima, anything you wanted to add on that build relationship rooted in love component that she has there?
Just find every opportunity to have discussions, whether it's walking in the hallway, greeting people at the door, when they're coming in, just any opportunity. If you're walking in the library, going into the teacher's lounge, just find opportunities throughout the day to make it a point to build relationships. And that means sometimes going outside of your norm of what you do.
Love it. Love it. Now let me go back to Sherell on this other talking point. This was probably the most powerful one, Sherell. It says vice principal or assistant principal. In your case, vice principal is a ministry, not just a job or career. And you explained it this way. You said you are impacting lives daily, providing resources, being an ear, being someone's encouragement, being someone's mentor. You are a role model in the way you the way you talk, walk, and react, even if you don't want to be, even if you are having a bad day. It's a ministry. What's your message there?
My message is just, again, I'm about being mindful. When I was on the panel and you didn't show me the bios of the leaders that I'm with, but we all have a commonality.
Yeah.
Everyone is talking about advocating. Everybody's talking about love. Everybody's talking about caring. What I understand at the end of the day, even when I look on that Outlook calendar and it looks like I haven't accomplished anything, I lay down or I look in the mirror before I lay down and say, Benders, who did you help today? Right? Not what did you do? Not, oh yeah, girl, you did that. Who did you help today? A parent, a teacher, a student, a staff member. If I did not help, advocate, provide resources, encourage, or empower during that day, then I have done nothing. That I promise you, the academics gonna come if you lead like that. If you lead where you care about the people you are in front of, I promise. God just don't make no mistakes. Everything else is going to come into play. It has to. It has to line up. It has to line up. And even the days I don't want to, I have to go in my office and play my favorite song and cry. I have to, because God, I'm walking out here and I'm modeling your love, your peace, your grace, your favor. This is who I am. And it's not always easy, but it is. It is so, right? Many are called, but few are chosen.
Yeah.
Much is given and much is required. And I understand that.
I love it. I think because of the time, and I still want to get to our rapid fire questions because I'm going to go over that 2:00 mark Eastern time, y'all. But stay with me. I want you to close us out, Sherell, and then we're going to go to that to our rapid fire questions. I would be remiss if I didn't share this one. You said mental health is real, but when I looked at how you wrote it, I said this is good to close. You said mental health is real for us as leaders, for the teachers who teach, for the students who learn, for the staff who work in various areas of the building, for the parents whose students attend our schools. What jumped out at me, Sherell, was the first part. Mental health is real for us as leaders. Talk to us about that one.
So that's on every level, right? Because I think people think APs and VPs are not people.
Yeah.
Are you serious? Listen, I have a 25-year-old son. I have a 36-year-old daughter. I have 2 grandchildren. I have 2 parents, right? Anything can happen. I've been at work and you got a call from something that transpired at home. I have siblings. We don't all live in the same house. I have days where I'm like, what is this I'm feeling today? And it doesn't come with words. It comes with a feeling. So if I don't know, yep, I need a therapist. And let Ms. Bendis tell you, I have a therapist. That's why I do well. Because I have another ear when I wake up and I don't know what that feeling is, then I'm like, hey, I don't know what that feeling is. So if I feel like that and I'm not aware that I feel like that, what do you think I'm putting on my people? If my teacher wake up like that and she don't know how she feeling, what is she putting on her students? If my parents wake up like that and they don't know what they feeling, what are they putting on their children and come in and talk to us as leaders? Do you not see this thing trickling down? We have to understand that we all need somebody. And yes, God is definitely there. But there is a such thing as mental health. And some of us have no idea that there's a very thin line between sanity and insanity. And it's one traumatic shift in life. Something as simple as a car accident. And we ain't saying parent. I think my grandmother been deceased maybe about 15, 20 years. Every time I get a degree, I cry. Because she's the one that said, you better have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And that's been 15 years. Trauma is real to all of us. And it happens every minute, every hour, every day, and every month. And we, as APs, just keep going. We deal with divorce. We deal with relationship. And we just keep going. We don't stop and say, hey, I'm hurt. And that's a real thing. Stop that. Say, ouch, that hurts. And then get the help so that you can be 100% at what you need to do to move people. Because we stand in front of people every day.
Whew. Man, y'all three. What a powerful day. I appreciate y'all. Let's knock out these rapid fire bam questions. Get one sentence or one word. But if you find yourself inserting a comma, I'm gonna cut you off. Right? It's one sentence. One sentence without a comma. Now you can throw a comma in there if it's to make a complete sentence. But after you start, So here we go. We're gonna start with Naima. Is education on the right path for underserved children?
Yes and no.
Can true equity occur in America's schools for Black, brown, and other underserved students?
Yes.
Does Dr. Naima Smith's work contribute to the progress we desperately need?
Yes, yes, yes. Wonderfully made.
If you could do a reset on your life, would your line of work be different or the same?
It would be the same.
Why do you continue to do this work?
For my son, Tyler Stephen Moore.
What fires you up particularly within the work that you do?
Our youth.
What do you absolutely love about the work you do?
Our young people.
AJ, what do you dislike about the work that you
do? Behaviors.
What has been your greatest victory in this work to date, AJ?
The lives I've touched.
What was your greatest mistake in this work?
My first 5 years of teaching.
What has been your greatest challenge in this work?
Understanding where I need to go.
Are you proud of your first year as an assistant principal?
Yes.
The next one I'm gonna skip because it would be, are you proud of your first year as a principal? Who inspires you in this work that you do?
My kids.
Very good. Move to Sherell. Sherell, what are you reading these days? Book, blog, article, tweet, anything?
Wow, my last book was 40 Days of Prayer. That was my last book. And now I'm reading Ethical Leadership. It's a part of my doctoral class.
What book do you recommend for our viewers?
Oh, of course, all the Principal Kafele books. Come on, you trying to set me up.
Oh, man, I appreciate y'all. Appreciate you. What do you want to accomplish that you have not accomplished yet?
What do I want to accomplish that? Actually, the residential home.
Yeah.
I want to have the residential home up by 2024.
I love it. Are you satisfied with where you are professionally?
No, I'm not.
What could you say to a viewer out there who continues to face closed doors?
Pray.
What could you say to a viewer out there who's lost their fire?
Mentorship and peer relationships.
If Sherell Benders was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Self-reflecting advocate that creates change.
AJ, if AJ Bianco was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Resilient.
And Dr. Naima Smith, if Dr. Naima Smith was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Love warrior.
I love it. I love it. Hey, y'all, I applaud you. Great panel, great discussions. Hey, y'all out there in the AP and New Principals Academy world out there, let us know. You know how we do. I see a lot of y'all already started. Give us those emojis. If today's session resonated with you, if it was beneficial for you, if it added value to your practice, if it's something you could take back to work and incorporate into your practice as a leader, give us your favorite emojis. I see them coming. Y'all already started. Give us those emojis. Let us know. That's the way we applaud our guests. And let me get my big emoji out here. This baseball bat, this Louisville Slugger, got my name engraved on it somewhere. Y'all hit it out the park, man. Every time you came to bat, you hit grand slams out the park, man. So great stuff. I appreciate you immensely. I don't know if any of you are looking to be speakers right now, but I'm sure that there are people out there that said you would work quite well with our PD at our school. So let the folks know how to reach you. Let's start with Dr. Smith. How do they reach you if they want to bring you in or just talk to you, just communicate with you?
I have a website, More Love, MOORE, love for the number 4, yoursoul.com. I'm also on Facebook.
Your Soul.
Your Soul.
Go ahead.
.com. I'm also on Facebook, Naima J. Smith. And then my Instagram handle is More Love for Your Soul. And that's MOORE, love for your soul. Yes.
That's MOOR, right?
MO, 2 O's.
Oh, I did it. Oh. Okay, I got to fix that. Unless Sheikah's out there, and you could do that for me, Sheikah, if you're still there. How about let's go to AJ. How do they reach you?
I'm very simple. I'm on all social media. It's, Twitter, Instagram at AJ Bianco, Facebook and LinkedIn at AJ Bianco. That's probably the best way to get in touch with me.
All right. And I'm still typing. And Sherell, how do they reach you?
I'm like AJ. I'm simple. I haven't gotten big like Doc yet. It's simple. It's Sherell Benders. I have Facebook. I have Instagram. I am working on a website for Homo Positive Enlightenment and a website for Breaking All Barriers, which is my new education and counseling firm that I just started.
Excellent. Did I spell that right, Naima? MOOR?
Yes, but you left out the love.
Oh my God, I'm messing up. Here, type that and so I can put it on the screen for me.
I put it in the chat.
Someone else got it there. Here, Karima got it. Got Nork in the building. So more love for your soul, and then .com, y'all. Right. So folks, we got everybody. Yeah, I appreciate y'all immensely, man. This was powerful. I appreciate it. We gotta do it again sometime. And to the folks out there, as always, I appreciate you being here. Before you take off, I know y'all trying to watch that Michigan-Ohio State game, but before you take off, let me just give you my rundown for next week. Y'all stay on, even when I go off, so I can just holler at you before we depart. Next week is week 188. I'm going solo, y'all. It's called How Would I Rate My Leadership Performance to Date? Once again, how would I rate my leadership performance to date? So in other words, wherever you are right now, whether it be someone watching live or someone who watches later on, what date it is you watch that video, how do you rate yourself from the first day of school on? I'm giving you 24 indicators in this particular session. So it's a 2-hour session, but it's going to be good, right? So join me next week at 10:55 for that session. Facebook Live every Saturday morning. Sean Hurt, 10 o'clock. Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor, 10:30. Unlock the Middle on Sunday nights at 7 with Josh Tovar and Dean Packard. And then Village Leadership Group with Dr. Roz Gassius and Coach Williams, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6. These are all Eastern times. Once again, appreciate those of you who have been purchasing my books. They were on Amazon this morning in the top 100. So the Aspiring Principal 50, the Principal 50, the Assistant Principal 50, and Is My School a Better School Because I Lead It? Black Friday sales, man. It took all 4 of these into the top 100 on Amazon under administration. So I'm thankful for that. I'm grateful for those of you who bought them yesterday, because I know a lot of y'all already got them, right? Visit principalkafele.com for my resources. Subscribe to the AP and New Principals Academy YouTube channel. Like and follow the AP and New Principals Academy Facebook page. And keep in mind that this is always a 2-parter. Today is the broadcast. Tomorrow is the writing. So tomorrow I have a blog post up there, and it'll be rooted in something that AJ said today. So look for that. And then other than that, your diet, your exercise, and COVID-19 precautions, man. Take care of yourselves, y'all. Let me tell y'all, next week we're gonna be on live, but I'm gonna be on a cruise ship. So but I figured, I maneuvered it. So we got it all going. So I gotta make sure that I'm disciplined with all that food that's just sitting around all day for you to pick up and eat. But I needed to take it down. My wife got a big birthday. I forgot to ask her for permission to say her age. So I won't say it until she gives me the green light. But it's a big one. I'll leave it at that. It's a big one, right? And so we're gonna celebrate her birthday on a 7-day cruise. But the AP and New Principals Academy does not stop for anything. I'll be here. Other than that, y'all, appreciate you being here. I will see you next Saturday at 10:55 Eastern time. Have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace. Thumbs up. Cock that fist back. 1, 2, 3. Bam! I see y'all next week. Same time. Same channel.